It's time for the front office report brought to you by Shaw's and Star Market, the official supermarket of the Red Sox radio network. Joining us now is Craig Breslow. Craig, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Not the road trip that I'm sure you were hoping for your guys, but they're coming back now to take on the Marlins tomorrow. How do you feel about them as they return home?
Yeah, it'll be good to get back home. We've played really well at Fenway for most of the season, and a tough road trip. Opportunities to win, I think, a couple more games, but those are two good teams, two very likely playoff teams playing at home. And San Diego and Houston are both obviously tough places to win.
Roman Anthony played pretty well on the road. He continues to shine and produce. How impressed have you been by such a young guy who's been able to take on the pressure head on?
Incredibly impressed. I think we saw the guys that knew him best through the draft and then early on in PD always spoke about his maturity and the calmness that he had in the box. I got to see it for myself, first last year, and then in big league spring training for the first time. The way that he carried himself was just so remarkably composed. It just seems like there is no moment in a game that's too big, and always feel like he's capable of doing something really exciting in the box. And I think we're seeing him play better defense and run the bases really well. So I think his game is progressing incredibly well.
Craig, on Roman Anthony, how did that contract negotiation progress? When did you think you guys were close, and what do you think it says about the organization that it's done?
Yeah, I think there was the initial reaction to sending the offer over, which I think was surprise as much as it was maybe excitement or optimism, just given the timing. But I want to give a ton of credit to Roman and his family and his agent Mark Rogers for being open-minded and willing to work through it. But it really wasn't until the day that we got it done, which I think was Tuesday or Wednesday, that we felt like there really was a path to a deal. I think it's a great moment for the organization. Roman is someone that we believe strongly in, is going to be a cornerstone player for us for the next, decade. And, I think the ownership deserves a ton of praise for their willingness to support this and move aggressively. And the rest of the front office and the coaching staff who obviously have made a strong impression on Roman and his family, such that he wanted to be here and he wanted to sign this deal at this time.
Craig, when you look back at the ups and downs of this season in regards to Roman, I guess regret is the bad word to use for it because there's no point in regretting anything. But do you maybe think that you could have brought him up sooner and maybe that would have changed some of the down parts of the season that your guys have had?
It's really hard to know. It was a complicated decision because we wanted to make sure that when we brought him up, there was a clear path to playing time, and the roster was such that that there really wasn't. And then Willie had the oblique injury, and that gave Roman a chance to come up and play every day. And then the Devers trade, it gave us a little bit more flexibility to rotate pieces through the outfield and the DH spot. I think what we are really thankful for is the way that Roman has gotten so comfortable so quickly in the big leagues and the impact he's had on the way that we're playing and ultimately on our record.
Craig, just if you could, we haven't spoken to you since the stories were written about the deadline in terms of Rob Bradford noted that Theo and the ownership group was all in the room. Could you take me through, are they there just as a sounding board, or how does the sort of the baseball department coalesce, and how big of a role does Theo and John Henry play in the decisions that you end up making?
Yeah, so I think there as a layer of support and sounding board and group to bounce ideas off of. Also, significant organizational decisions are ones that we want to make sure ownership is on board with and supportive. And given just how quickly the trade deadline moves, having them there is the easiest way to have some of those conversations. And so we try to make sure that we're keeping everyone in the loop, but also that we are creating a good decision-making environment where, when it's necessary to meet in a smaller group or to bounce ideas off of each other, for people to push back, some of the people in the office who have done a ton of work on players and teams leading up to this moment, they have the opportunity to do so as well. So there are times where we're meeting as a larger group, sometimes as a smaller group, and sometimes where, I just need some time kind of to myself to process and digest and ultimately make decisions.
Yeah, this is a question on behalf of Greg. I know he'd be interested. Does John Henry order pizzas? Like, what's the food choice? Like, is he big like a chicken parm sub guy, sausage and peppers? What's the John Henry food order in the trade deadline war room?
We have different food out on a table that comes from some of the local restaurants, though I will say I have not seen John eat any of it, but right. It's also very frantic, so that's not to say that he hasn't. I just haven't been able to see it.
He's a salad guy.
Yeah, is it true that Sam took the last slice?
I would say it's most likely true. Again, I didn't see it, but I would say that that's probably a safe conclusion to draw.
Craig, one move that you guys did make before the trade deadline was Dustin May. He gets your sole win in Houston this week. What do you see his impact being for this team? I think a lot of people were down on that being the main move, but he impressed some this week.
Yeah, he was really good on Tuesday, and he struggled a little bit in his first outing, at Fenway, and I think probably trying to get comfortable and work through some pitch usage and recommendations, and then I think we saw a much more comfortable version of Dustin on Tuesday, and we saw what he's capable of. So it wasn't just the kind of bottom line there, but also when you dig in a little bit deeper and you see just the way that he was able to pound the zone and get ahead with strike one, and I think it was 86 or 87% first pitch strikes and 74-75% strikes overall. I think the usage was much more in line with what he was comfortable with and what we are likely to see going forward. He's able to throw a sweeper in the zone for strikes, and then to get chased both first righty and lefties through cutters a little bit more. And I think that gives him another pitch that he can attack in the strike zone. So we're excited about what he can bring. The stuff ticked up a little bit in terms of the velo, and if we get that version every 5 days, I think we're going to be in really good shape.
Greg, I just curious about, it feels different. I don't know specifically why. This year feels different than last year. The record is relatively similar. I think you were about 6, 7, 8 games over 500 at this point last year. Why is this season different than last, and why will this stretch run be different than last year?
Yeah, it's so hard to pinpoint a single thing, but I think when you look at the group of 26 guys and the coaching staff, there's a belief in each other. There's an excitement for coming to the field every day. We're getting contributions from everybody on the roster. One day it's the starting pitching, that's leading the charge. Another day, some big at bats, and there are guys up and down the lineup, maybe guys that have been assumed to be kind of role players who are now stepping into more prominent spots. Ultimately, I just think these guys, they enjoy each other. They love playing baseball. They love competing. And when you put all of that together, baseball is, I think has always been this whole being greater than the sum of the parts type thing. And I think we're seeing that to some extent now.
For you this season, is making the postseason a successful season in your mind, or do you got to do more than that?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty adamant all winter heading into the season that, our goal is a deep postseason run. Certainly making the postseason, will be an improvement upon where we were the last few years. But, I think that we believe our group is capable of doing more. And so, I think we're gearing up for a deep postseason run. And ultimately, I think will be evaluated.
Well, that'll do it for us. Craig, thanks so much for calling. But before you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Next week, we have the Jimmy Fund Radio Telethon. For you joining the Red Sox, how big of a deal is it for you guys? Or how are you preparing for the Jimmy Fund next week?
Yeah, I mean, the Jimmy Fund is it's such an important part of the work that the Red Sox do, and that partnership. I can remember as a player coming over and hopping on phones and taking pictures and meeting some of the patients. And it's such a great time for the players and for the organization because it's an opportunity to reflect on just how fortunate many of us are to be able to work in baseball or play baseball while there are so many who can't. And there's just a different feeling, I think, around the team. Great appreciation, and so it's a time that we all look forward to, and we feel really fortunate to be able to help.
Well, we're excited to see you at the ballpark next week. Good luck with the Marlins tomorrow, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great. Thank you. Have a good morning.
Thank you so much, Craig. And that was Craig Breslow, the Front Office Report, brought to you by Shaw's and Star Market, the official supermarket of the Red Sox Radio Network.